Hello, welcome to the channel. So we are going to be doing the brakes on a Nissan Maxima last generation. The one that I have is a 2018. And we are going to be using the Akebonos and front and rear ceramic. I love these. They're the closest that I've found to OEM. And quiet, they're ceramic, and their stopping power is excellent. Now, I had a little vibration on the brake pedal. My wife kept on complaining, so I have about 55,000 miles on the car, so I said, you know what, let's just go ahead and put new brakes. The front still has some life left on, and the rear we're very, very close to pretty much nothing. So I decided, you know what, let's cut the rotors and let's put brand new brakes. So I'm glad I did. So the car is super smooth now. Now, you are gonna need like a C-clamp to compress your piston, some gloves, a nice little, brake cleaner always, helps out. Impact wrench, some shop towels. I like to actually, put a little bit of grease on the sliders. They're stainless steel, and a nice little torque wrench. I did end up using a 19 millimeter wrench to, open to release one of the bolts in the back. And you are going to need a 14, a 19, and a 22 millimeter socket. A little hammer just in case. Obviously your jack and your jack stands. What I did was I pretty much put the car up in my garage. I worked on it for a couple of days. I did a couple extra little things, and I'll put the links at the end so you can see how that came out. I ended up cleaning my wheels on the inside. Usually they're hard to get to because I replaced my wheels with Infinity 19-inch wheels. They look awesome on the Maxima, and they needed to be balanced also. So the only drawback to that is that they do rub a little bit in the front when you turn all the way, because they're 19-inch wheels, but they look so much better than the factory ones, a little wider, the stance looks better. I absolutely love them. You'll see some of the pictures there. So I cleaned them inside. I took out the little weights, did a nice detail on them. I put a little ceramic spray inside so it stays a little cleaner, and they're easier to clean. I also did the exhaust tips on it since I already had the car up on the jack. I'll put the link for that video at the end. You're gonna love it. I drilled them and I polished them. They came out absolutely amazing, and I also pushed them out like about 1.5 inches or about an inch or so, and they look excellent. So check out that video. Pretty much everything that we are gonna need is here. So don't forget to like and follow. We have great videos coming. If you have any questions, let me know. And some of the links below, I'm going to be putting the torque specs for each of the bolts. And some of them are affiliate. They help out the channel. You could get these at Amazon at a really, really good price. That's the cheapest that I found them. So I'll put, like I said, I put those links below. They help us out. We're trying to go. We can't do it without your support. So let's get to it, guys. This is the right front, wheel assembly area. So we're going to be going and removing these here. These are 14 millimeter screws, and we're going to remove this section first, and then we're going to move to the 22 millimeter main bolt in the back. So we're going to check, make sure that this section here is actual sliding correctly. Sometimes you have to add a little grease inside these little boots. And then we're going to remove the rotor. The rotor is not bad, but I don't want to take any chances because the car is vibrating a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and get these cut. All right, put these aside. Okay, we're gonna place this on the spring section here. It'll stay nice and tight right there. You don't want to put any pressure on your brake line. So you do have 2 clips right here. You're gonna remove those gently. So these basically push the brake pads open so it doesn't rub on the actual rotor. Now we have these here. These are 22 millimeters. Okay. So let's see if this one will take it off. All right, once you loosen that sucker up, pull her out, and then your rotor comes right out. So, you know, it's got a little edge right here that I want to kind of get rid of, but definitely needs to be redone. All right, guys, we're going to do the same thing on this side. This is the left front. Okay, beautiful. Let's go ahead and put it right on the spring. It's nice and tight there. All right, we're going to go ahead and remove the clips. All right. And we are good to go. All right, so we're also going to inspect, make sure that, you know, these things have a little travel. They seem nice and smooth. Perfect. Okay. The hardware that come with the brakes, they have all these stainless steel clips, so we're going to replace everything. We're going to add some little bit of grease on some of these little sections also, so it could slide nice and smooth. Okay. And that's it. So we move on to the rear. These come with grease, so we're going to go ahead and probably re-grease them. And I put this aside. Fits right there in the frame, nicely tucked. And these are 19. Alright, so alright guys, so this is the right rear, same setup. I'm gonna remove, guys, if you haven't bought one of these electric ratchets, they're amazing. And these are okay. I'm gonna go ahead and re-grease them. We're also going to use a C-clamp to push this in, so we'll do one at a time. Nicely done. These are pretty much done. There's barely a hair on it left. And we're good to go. Do a little inspection. This is your emergency brake. So we're going to clean it up a little bit and before we put the rotors back. So I'm going to go ahead and take off to get these rotors cut, and I'll be back. You remember the one that did a while back, the Jeep? I have it on the no, pero bueno, me chocaron al carro. No, cuando te iba, y yo lo he presionado. Ya te lo he video. Ay, caramba. La vez que sonaba un poquito más rápido, you know, I'm going to use some brake cleaner to clean up some of the, you know, the brake shoes for the emergency brake. Clean this up just a little bit. I might want to put a little pan under for dripping. All right, that looks good. I'm gonna go ahead and put a little bit of lubrication on this, this rust area here. I always like to do that. That way next time you take it out, it's not like, pretty much locked up. Sometimes rust will do that. There we go. Look how nice that is. Beautiful. All right, so there was a reason for a vibration. I believe it was this side here, the right rear was bent. Yeah, today was a little bit of a journey. I love watching, these rotors get cut. I did go get the wheels balanced also, because I wasn't sure if it was the wheels or what the problem was. So I had that done. And, that took a bit. I also cleaned the wheels on the inside. So I'm going to put ceramic coating in the inside of the wheels and the outside, and easier to clean, so some of the dust, will stay away as much as possible. So I wanted to do that, just a little extra detail. No big deal, but I'm going to clean these up. I'm going to clean them up, and I'm going to go ahead and put new grease on them. See, it's a little dirty. So right before I install them, I'll go ahead and put the new grease. You definitely want to clean this, because now I'm going to go ahead and compress it with a C-clamp. And you don't want all the dirt to go inside that chamber. I mean, I'm not fond of putting brake cleaner on rubber. So I'm going to go ahead and put a pad on here. You don't want to damage. And slowly push it in. I mean, this is a single piston, so it's not, you probably do it by hand also. Put a little bit here, and then there. Alright, so the kit comes with the clips, so make sure when you take them off, you put them back exactly the same way. Alright, so if you have any doubts, kind of like put it aside. And like I mentioned, we're going to be using the Akebonos. These things are awesome. I've used them in my Jeep and I absolutely love them. And they keep your rims clean. They stop awesome. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they're kind of like almost like an OEM for Nissan, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but I saw it somewhere a while back. So you're gonna have one that's got the pin and one that doesn't have the pin. So these already come with the metal backing, so you don't have to take them off the other ones. Put those aside. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and install the brakes. Make sure that the round part, it's towards the top of the car. And we're going to use the one with the metal indicator towards the piston, which is towards the inside of the car. Same thing, make sure you don't put these backwards. It's easy to put them backwards. You got to put the little hump to the top. Okay, so now they're in. We're going to put the big bolts in. You can put these by hand, it's fine. At least my impact wrench, it doesn't fit on the top part. Just gonna give it a little tug. And then we'll torque them. Okay. All right, beautiful. So now that you're ready to rock and roll, Gonna slide this puppy in. Make sure you push the two little rubbers. Make sure you put them in. We're gonna go ahead and put some grease on this. Okay. Once the bolt goes all the way in, then the boot will snap into a little groove that this has right there. So that's once it goes all the way in. So as long as we don't install this part, torque this to 62 foot-pounds and these to 32 foot-pounds. I'll go ahead and clean up this section here. Do a D40, clean the lug nuts. Go ahead and put a little bit of grease on this rusted ass section here. Go ahead and get this one ready. Clean up some of this dirt that's here. It's like stuck on there. Alright, she is good to go. Put her back. Let's put in the rotor. Nicely cut. Beautiful. Make sure it's nice and clean in there. It's a little bit. There's a little bit of extra, I guess like dirt and stuff from the emergency brake. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean this out inside before you install it. Oh, that's nice. All right. Make sure, depending on the kit that you buy, you put the correct clip on here. There's two little metal clips right here. It goes in the center, in between here. Okay. So if you want to do one at a time, just in case, just go ahead and do that. It's going to clip in there. Beautiful. Same thing to the other side. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and install this first without this part right here. That way it's easier to torque the screws. Because once you install this, it's a little harder because this is in the way and you have to do it usually from the bottom side here. Alright, so we're going to get the 19mm screws. I will just install them by hand. Don't tighten it until you put the other one in. On these little edges right here. And then this is the one that goes towards the piston. So I'm going to put a little bit right here too. Okay. Just a little bit. Don't go crazy. You don't want this stuff going on the pad. So remember that the circle, you know, you have the flat edge right here in the bottom, and you have a circle. I've seen people put them backwards. So you want to put them in with a circle towards the top of the car, towards the ceiling of wherever your room is. And don't touch the pad with your greasy hands. Same thing, put a little, that one's going to be for everything. A little bit here. You don't want too much either, just a really thin film. And then on the edges. You could do it on the metal or you could do it on the pad itself. Alright, so circle going up. And voila. these bolts cleaned up. You see I have a little bit of rust on them. Because the other side was actually nice and clean. So this side is clean now. I'm going to grease them up right before we put them in. So we're going to go ahead and torque both of them. But first now we're going to do the 19. So that way, you know, it's easier to do it without the actual caliper in there. Now, I was able to push it in by hand and using this right here, but you could use a C-clamp. Be very, very careful. You don't want to pinch this little rubber boot right here. Okay, so I'm going to put this aside. So I'm able to good there. For some reason, my torque wrench won't fit in the top part, so I am going to kind of wing it. Now we have the grease on both sides of the pad, so you don't need to put it on here. Just make sure you don't pinch the actual boot. So put it in. Make sure these two line up properly there. The 14 millimeter does 32 foot-pounds or 43 Newton meters, and the 19 does 62 foot-pounds or 84 Newton meters. That's my position, unfortunately. It looks weird, but there goes. All right. We're on here. Noise. On these here, make sure they move freely. If they don't, then you need to open them up and grease them, but make sure that this edge right here, okay, it's a flat edge, it's going to fall into when you put in the caliper on the top. So pay attention to which clips you have, because the kit comes with two different types of clips. You can use a screwdriver or you could do it by hand, it's fine. The kit comes with a ton of them. There's 4 that are the same and 4 that are different. There's different kinds. Right here, this edge, it's a little bit bigger, so this is one edge, more or less about the same. So that goes on one side, and then the other one that I took off is actually a little different. It's thinner, so we're gonna find the one that matches this one. All right, so this one is a little smaller, but it's a little bit bigger than this one, so I assume this is the correct one. So we're going to go ahead and pop that sucker in. All right, beautiful. All right, so we'll use the workbench after. Beautiful. The 22 millimeters are going to take 107 foot-pounds or 145 Newton meters. Okay. Make sure you clean everything there. And when you mount it, be very careful. You don't want to pinch your boot. Now we're going to install the two clips. These little guys right here. There's two little holes on the pads. So it's going to tend to push it outward. So you're going to have to kind of hold them until you put in your caliper. So make sure they're in all the way. And here we go. But all right, so the clips are in. I'll go ahead and put the two bolts. Remember, flat edge inside the little ridge there, so that way when you spin the bolt, it has, you know, something to hold on to. We're going to go ahead and torque them 25 foot-pounds or 34 Newton meters. Beautiful. Beautiful. All right. So clips are in, torqued. Everything looks good. We're going to check, make sure that these things move in nice and easy. Very nice. So we're going to go ahead and replace the clips. You want to clean the surface real good. You want the piston? A little rusted. No way to make that thing out of steel. You know, with years, I mean a lot of years, you kind of rust inside. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and put the pins in. Alright, have to play magic here. And make sure the little flat part sits inside here, nice and flat. You don't want the round part inside there because it's going to be right outside here. You don't want that. Gotta make sure that's inside. Yeah. We are done. So all we have to do is put the tires back on and we should be good to go. All right guys, so this looks pretty sweet. Nice and cut. And definitely well worth it. Some of the links below are affiliate that help us out. You know, I'll put both links for the front and rear. You can get them on Amazon. And there are the, you know, the Akebonos, and they're fantastic. It's a great replacement for this vehicle. So you won't be disappointed. And to the next video. So let's get to it. All right guys, we're done. So the brakes came out awesome. I went and tested them. Love it. This
This brand is actually super good. It's got awesome reviews. Last thing, you want to go ahead and double check if you're gonna go ahead and put your lug nuts in, torque it, crisscross pattern. That's pretty much it, guys. So it's all done. She's ready to rock and roll. So I'll show you do the brakes on a Nissan Maxima. All right, thanks for watching.